Hey everyone, John Doyle from OptixEQ. Today I'm going to look at race 5 at Gulfstream Park on Thursday, March the 7th. It's a turf mile. I'm going to show you how to use optics to evaluate a race. But this race, one thing I'll tell you, is wide open. If you look at the morning lines, and I think the morning line person is right, not necessarily which horse should be what, but that it's a wide open race. And you can see the morning line favorite, Johnny Alley-oop Johnny, is 4-1. So I agree, wide open race. This is a race you want to kind of take your shots on. Maybe we're going to give you some information to help you like anchor in on a couple of horses and look at other horses you might have kind of poo-pooed initially, okay? So let's look at the plot. It's a red plot fit. And so typically a red plot fit is not as predictive, but still we can use the information in the plot to try to decipher where we want to do and where we want to go. Evaluating early speed, we can see both on the run style and on the plot, the number 2 looks like the speed of the race. Luis Saez is on this horse, so a good bet that this horse is going to go to the front. It doesn't look like there's a lot to run with him early. It looks like the 7 and the 10 are kind of pressers, and maybe even the 9, even though that's not typically his role. He's more of a off the pace type. So to me, the horses that look good, I mean, on the plot, that, you know, if this 2 tries to wire the field, look like the 7 and 10 could sit right off of him and maybe get first run. As you can see, let me just mark this up so I can kind of pay attention a little bit more to the surface distance plot. So you got the 2 in the lead, and then you got these kind of pressers, at least on the plot. And it looks like the 8 is not going to be able to keep up, okay? And so let's go. The other thing I wanted to kind of bring in is the summary. If you go here to the V bars, you can see you got a bunch of different information. I'm going to go to summary because I just think that's just a great tool for just assessing the horses that can compete in terms of speed and class. The plot, what that means when you see the plot, that means is this statistically, like horses for this surface and distance, shapes like circles and squares, and also quadrants have different kind of win percentages, and that's what that's all based on. So it's comparing the win percentages of both the standard and surface distance plot of horses in this race against each other. So if I were just to highlight just the plot, and I'm just going to unhighlight the speed and class here, you can see that the horse that has the advantage on the plots would be the 3, the 7 we talked about, and the 10. Okay, we talked about the 7 and the 10, and the 9 is a little bit on, 9, 6, and the 2 look about average. The 1 looks real low, and you remember I talked about the 8 being low. Yeah, the 8 is well below, okay? Now the 1 is a little trickier because the 1's coming off a big layoff. This horse had some improving form, younger horse, coming back for Brendan Walsh, who's had a great meet. I just think 288 days, I'm going to want to watch this horse and see how he comes back because he just doesn't fit on the plot today. Now, again, there might be some more grow-up potential in him, but I think he'll probably need a race. That's just the way I'm going to approach this race. You might think otherwise, but that's the way I'm going to approach this race. So for me, initially, like just from an early pace perspective, to me, I like the 2, 7, and 10. Those are the horses that I think, I can kind of look at and compare the odds to the board and try to figure out which way I might want to go, okay? As I get more into the form of these horses, I'm going to bring in speed. I'm going to bring in class. I'll get into form a little bit with the grid. Let me just clear this out. So let's look at the 7 and 10. 7 fits on speed figures. We said the plot looked good, kind of average on class. That's not a negative, right? It means he can compete. He's not giving anything away. The 10 very much up on speed, and the plot, same thing in terms of class, kind of fits, not above, not below, just kind of fits. And when you look at the odds, again, 7 was the horse that we said is the morning line favorite. See how he gets bet. 2 is kind of a third choice. The 10 looks like a little bit of the value here, 10-1. I don't think you're getting 10-1, but I think the one negative is he does have to work out a little bit of a trip from the deeper post, but I don't see that being a problem with Jose Ortiz, okay? I think this horse possibly can do that. So that's the early pace. I want to take a look at some late pace runners in here. The 9 is kind of a late pace runner, and he's kind of looked like a mismatch because he kind of plots early. I don't know what to do with him. If I go to the grid and look at the number 9, uh, he just looks like his last race is a little dicey. He's come off a big layoff. Uh, and you know, we did have an equipment change here that's not going to happen today. He had no line, looked like he had the right trip, you know, in terms of tactics. Let's look at the extended comment. Always look at these extended comments. Ideal trip on soft pace, head turned aside, final turn, couldn't quicken with winner, try blinkers again. You know, this is the worst that, you know, I'm a little bit against in this scenario. So, at least I don't like him as much as the others. So, the 4 is an interesting horse because this is a horse you know, he's kind of an early pace horse, but he's coming out of races that are much better. Big layoff, and the drop. I don't know where this horse form wise is. You know, there's a horse that you know, typically does his best running when he's up close. And he hasn't been lately. So he's just a hard read for me. Another horse I would want to see one, especially in a race this competitive. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to guess too much in this. You know, you get horses that are in form, that are running recently, have an edge over the horses that are coming off layoffs in this situation. The 6 looks solid, big square. If you're looking for an off the pace horse, especially underneath, there's no knocks in this horse. Kind of been running good Bs at this level. Showed grit last time. You know, just thinking he might be a shorter price than the 5, and the 5 looks just as interesting. And you're gonna have to look past this circle here again in surface and distance. You got to evaluate the information. Look how big square he is on standard, and I'm going to show you why. This is a horse that kind of been not running at the right spots the last couple times. 2 back, he ran at this level by a total excuse. You look at the extended comments, he's bottled up, not given a chance to stretch legs. A complete excuse. So he's better than that 82. Comes back, and we think he's at the wrong distance. He's run this distance before and run it. You know, he's run a good speed figure before, but still, if you look at the comments, Lopez, it wasn't Lopez, actually, it was Vasquez. The jockey had to anchor one down throughout, not given much of a chance. So, in other words, they just grabbed them and just didn't let him run for whatever reason. Don't know what they were doing. Maybe it was a prep. I really don't know. It's hard to gauge, but just didn't give his best effort. Wasn't able to give his best effort in his last 2 races. That's why that plot looks a little murky. That's surface distance plot. So I kind of going to forgive him. There's a horse that's could run, is fast enough. If you look at the plot, V bars, right? He's fast enough. The plot is poor, but if you break the plot down, if you go to the plot and you kind of look, you see he's really bad, really, really bad with that circle, but good with the other stuff, you know, with the standard plot. So, you know, things to forgive there with this horse. And then again, he kind of fits. He's a 0 kind of on this class, so he's not like outclassed in this race. He's 20 to 1. That's a horse that you really want to look to kind of round out some of your exotics. And if you're playing some multi-race bets, a horse that you want to include on your backup tickets, right? Because he's a big price. He's had some excuses. He's dirtied up a little bit. So you can find value there. Okay. So you could see the way we kind of broke this race down. We looked at the early pace. We looked at which closers. We kind of looked at not only the horse's current speed and class, but we also looked at his form using notes. And again, the way I kind of evaluate this race, I think the 10 will be probably the most value. 2 and 7 are also kind of could be win or exacta contenders. And then looking at, you know, the 5 and 6 for underneath in race 5 at Gulfstream on March the 7th, Thursday. So good luck, everyone. And if you like these videos, like them on YouTube and check us out on Twitter at OptixEQ and check out our website, optixeq.com. Again, thanks for participating. Enjoy horse racing. Enjoy race 5 from Gulfstream.